searched many years on end. There was none that my soul could depend. My soul cries out for your presence in here. This very hour, for your presence in here. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek. I have searched many years on end. There was none that my soul could depend. My soul cries out for your presence in here. This very hour, for your presence in here. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek. In your presence I am free from the chain that has bound me. In your presence I am calm, waiting for the kingdom come. In your presence I am free from the chain that has bound me. In your presence I am calm, waiting for the kingdom come. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the peace I seek. In His name I find, in His name I find, in His name I find the joy I seek.
Good evening. We are live from the house. We are joined with Amy Rivera tonight. And Amy's going to be sharing her story just a little bit. We're starting a brand new series, you guys. It's called the Red Letter Series. How exciting is that?
I mean, super exciting.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. We're going to be talking nightly about the letters, the words of Jesus and what his message means, what his message is all about. So tonight, after we're finished, there's actually going to be a panel sharing about who is God. So stick around. You don't want to miss that. And if you could, please go ahead and like and share our broadcast right now. That would really help us out. We appreciate that so much. So without further ado, Amy Rivera. Did I say that right?
Say it again. One more time.
Amy.
Yes, you did. Good job.
There's two different ways to say Amy, right?
Yes.
Most people say Amy, but
It's
you
not
say Amy. Mm-hmm. But that's not your real name, is it?
No.
What's your real name?
Chanel, Amy.
Oh.
Yes.
So now you guys know. Her real name is actually Chanel. A couple things you didn't know about Amy, and you like being called Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
I was
that's
raised that
established.
way. So, yes.
So we'll call you that for the rest of this interview. But they might not.
Please go ahead and call me Amy. That'd be great.
A couple things that the church doesn't know about you, though, is one is you're a twin,
Yes.
which is pretty exciting because I'm a twin. So I feel like we have a special connection.
Thank you.
Twin connection. If you're a twin out there, go ahead and shout out that
Yes.
you're a twin so we can know that. We'd love to hear that about you.
Yeah.
And then there's so much more that they don't know about you that they're going to get to hear tonight.
Yes.
Which I'm excited about. Are you ready? Deep breath.
Yeah. I'm okay.
You're married to Sean,
Yeah.
and Sean was interviewed last week.
Yes.
You guys have
It was
4
awesome.
kids.
Yep.
What are their names?
Sam, Bella, Max, and Chloe.
And they're wonderful kids.
Yes. We
They're
like
so
them.
good.
We're going to keep them.
They're okay.
Yeah.
But where did you meet Sean?
Well, Sean and I met almost 21 years ago.
Wow.
Actually, longer. And we have a mutual friend, and this was, before Jesus time,
Okay.
and
Good preface.
for both of us a little bit. And his friend needed some alcohol purchased for a party.
Okay.
And my twin sister and I had an apartment, and my sister said that she would buy them said alcohol. And they wouldn't all fit in the vehicle to purchase it, so our mutual friend left Sean with me for a half hour.
Wow.
And we chatted, and it was kind of pretty cool.
Love at first sight.
Yeah. And then we worked at Taco Bell together.
Taco Bell, that was where the magic happened. That's where you really got to know each other.
That's
and
right.
we're so glad you guys met, even if it's under those circumstances, and you put your sister on blast. We love
Well,
that.
we love her.
But you guys are a powerhouse couple, 2 of our pastors on staff.
Yeah.
And we're so glad that you're here.
Thanks.
So, Amy, you have an awesome story. And I'm getting to hear a lot of these stories for the first time. But let's start from the beginning. Where were you born? Where are you from?
I was born in New Zealand to a mother and father, as most people.
Okay,
They
good.
had an extreme age difference.
What was that?
I believe he was 64 and she was 19 when they got married.
Wow. That is a significant gap. Okay, what was that like growing up?
It was awkward. When I was 1.5, my mom decided to come visit her parents in America for a visit and brought us 4 kids with her.
Okay.
And she ended up divorcing our father while in America and then naturalizing us to be citizens. So we didn't really see our dad after that.
Wow, like ever
Yeah.
again?
Though I think he came to try and get us a couple times, but I don't remember because I was so young.
Wow. So you grew up with very little relationship, very little contact
Oh, yeah.
with your father?
Yeah, no
Was
contact.
that hard on you? How did that affect you, Amy?
I didn't, obviously, it's like he wasn't there. So I didn't notice a lot, like, in the extremeness of it, of not having your father present because I was so young.
Yeah.
But because of our situation with our mother, we lived with our grandparents, her parents, several times, and we traveled kind of back and forth. So we'd spend like 2-3 years with my grandparents, and then we could live with my mom. And so in that extreme situation, it was very difficult. We pretty much had stability with my grandparents and then complete chaos with my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's pretty drastic for you.
Oh, very drastic.
So
yeah.
I know you had mentioned to me that your grandparents are pretty much your family. And that was the place where you felt most safe, most comfortable.
Yeah.
And so your mom was kind of in and out?
Yes. She, I think she just couldn't handle a lot in her life at that time, and having 4 kids, maybe, the interesting thing is she never did drugs or drank. She never did any of that. I think there was a lot of emotional things maybe going on
Yeah.
in her life. And So when we were with her, she wasn't really home a lot, and we were put in unsafe situations quite often.
Wow.
Where we were very much fending for ourselves.
Wow.
And
so what was that like? What did that feel like for you in that moment?
Oh, complete fear. Complete fear. I was the youngest as well, and so it was. I mean, complete fear. We never knew if she was going to be home. We never knew if we were going to have food. We never knew if we were going to be in the car for hours while she was doing her own thing.
Wow.
There was a time when she left us at the grocery store at night, and we had to figure out how we were going to get home.
No way. That's so
and I
hard.
mean, like 7 years old, 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that was kind of normal for you then?
That was normal.
So family was pretty easy for you growing up, buying into community and family and feeling safe?
No. I mean, I never felt safe really until actually we came to the Father's house.
Really?
And I had met Jesus through a youth group actually at the Father's house.
Okay. How many years ago was that?
Probably about like 18 years ago, 19 years ago.
Okay. So you met Jesus at a youth group.
Mm-hmm. But I always kind of felt he was real. We had an uncle that really would talk about Jesus a lot. So to us, I did have a feeling he was real. And but I gave my life to him then actually. And then Sean did too. He recommitted his life.
So Sean went to the same youth group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We kind of helped out with it because we were older. I was older.
Yeah.
I was a little bit older. So we helped out a little bit with the leaders. And then Sean went to a ministry school and I went to YWAM. And that's really when our life just really following Jesus kind of started.
Started to develop there.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up with that, feeling unsafe and having a hard time with kind of the family structure. And you met Jesus. I'm sure that changed a lot. But what else? What was really a turning point in your life, Amy, that got you in a direction to where you are today?
It was definitely here. There's such a sense of community, right? And and it was, oh man, I was so terrified. I was controlling.
Terrified of what?
People.
Really?
Being seen.
Yeah.
Being hurt. Just all of that, and like people would get so close and it was like, whoa, what are you doing there? You know, back up a little bit. I never really said you could come into my heart like that. Like, wait a minute, you know. And I really just had to learn how to trust people. And there was a lot of prayer ministry that went along with that, but then also walking out. Okay, I'm going to decide to trust this person in front of me. Yeah. Even though I'm terrified, and I did, and I just started to see the fruit and really be able to see Jesus's heart, you know, for them, for myself.
Yeah,
like,
that's huge.
You know, and who I really was. And maybe I wasn't, you know, a bad person, or maybe, you know, like I could start believing some truth about.
So you've had to walk out a lot, and you've overcome so much, just even hearing bits of what you did share tonight. I know there's more than just that, but what you've shared is you've had to overcome. Yeah. And you had to fight to find out who you are. Yeah. And to feel safe and to begin to trust people. I know that's was a process for you. Didn't happen overnight.
Oh no. No.
But you know, you've made it to where you are today. Yeah. Like we said earlier, you and your husband are both pastors here at the church. So if you could, we're almost out of time, but if you could just tell those watching, listening right now, who are you today? Who is Amy Rivera?
I'm someone that walks in truth now. I bring peace with me. I can lead you out of fear. If you're afraid of anything, you please talk to me, because I've really walked that out and conquered that. I'm someone that can be trusted, and I love well. I'm able to see individuals for who they are and pull out that gold inside of them.
You sure do. You are so unique. I know people love being around you. Your bubbly personality. You're just so full of life, and it's hard to imagine that never having been shut down at certain times in your life. And we absolutely love who you are. You and your husband, your family are vital to our everyday life, our church here. And it's so hard to imagine you guys not being here. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable with your story, Amy. And it's a pleasure to have you up here. Thank you. You guys don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we have a panel sharing about who God is. So stay tuned. And if you can, please like and share this broadcast for us. Thank you so much.
Are you looking for something real, An encounter with Jesus that changes everything? A place to belong and find purpose? Are you ready to become who Jesus created you to be? Father's House School of Transformation is a 6-month ministry school in Oroville, California. Our mission is to help you to answer the call of Jesus on your life, to follow him, to know him, to become a true son or daughter, and to learn how to love as he has loved you. Through life-changing teachings, powerful times of worship, one-on-one mentoring, and hands-on training and outreach to the community, you will encounter the living presence of Jesus and be transformed. Do not miss this opportunity to go deeper with Jesus and discover who you will become. Apply today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here. I'm Nicole Wallace, here with some really good friends. This is Lisa Kelly and Mr. Nathan Taylor.
Hey, guys.
We are going to dive in tonight into our 10-part series about the red letters of Jesus and who God says he is, and pretty much all the basic principles of Christianity. I'm really excited about this, you guys.
Yeah, cool.
I think so often, correct me if I'm wrong, but so often Christianity is just straight up confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be for sure.
I think that, I know for me, growing up in the church, there's so many different messages coming at you. There's so many different philosophies and theologies and expectations and interpretations, and it's like
Facebook wisdom,
bumper sticker Christianity, or worship song Christianity. And I think we really miss it when we're not getting our answers directly from the Bible, and specifically what Jesus said.
For sure.
Because often, I know, again, when I was a young adult, I didn't want to get into a conversation with anyone about my Christianity, because I didn't know that I could actually stand up to wisdom or have the actual the answers, because I was so confused. I think we so often try to live in the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah.
And the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. And Christianity tries to meld it together, when reality is, it's what Jesus said.
Yeah.
And the Old Testament is about describing who God is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our first topic tonight in our 10-point series is, who is God? That's a
Pretty huge one.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
You know,
It's an exciting one. It's
Yes.
one of my favorite topics.
why? Why is it your favorite topic?
There's just something about looking to him and discovering who he says he is, and looking at his character and his kindness and his mercy and his even his judgment. That there's something about discovering who God is that makes your spirit come to life. There's this connection that's meant to happen between us and him, and I think it really starts to spark within us when we start that journey of discovering who he is and who he says that he is.
Yeah.
I find that to find out who God says he is one of the most important questions to answer, because then you don't know who you're saying yes to.
Absolutely.
You don't know the character, right? So what do you guys think the most important place to find that answer is?
No, the Old Testament has a lot of amazing stuff. Like, even the way that the Psalms are written is just so beautifully, like, just describing his character and who he is, and then knowing too that he never changes. But then, you know, as we've talked about here a number of times, just the way that Jesus describes him as well, and the way that Jesus says, you know, that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And so it all of a sudden gives us a new picture.
Yeah.
Because then we get to see the way that he interacted with people all the time. Right? And so it's constantly showing the heart of the Father. So everything that he did, you know, even with him saying, I only do what I see my Father doing. So it's just showing his heart over and over. The way that he loved people, all of his teaching, all of that was coming directly from the heart of the Father. And so it gives us this fresh and new picture. This is who God is.
It's so good. It's important to find those I am statements too, that God constantly says throughout the Bible. I would challenge you, like, what is God and who does God say he is? Like, put some I am statements in the comments, and maybe we'll touch on some. What is your favorite I am statement that God says? You know, maybe we can come up with a few.
I love I am the way. You know,
That's so good.
there's something about trusting that he knows the way, that he is the way, that helps that confusion come off. You know, when he says, I am the truth. Well, when we're searching for truth, when we're trying to make sense of this crazy world, we can look to him.
Yeah.
He has the answer. He can make what's confused in our mind and what's confused in our heart, he can make it straight. You know?
Yeah.
I love that.
So much more, you know. I am the vine. We can be connected to him. We can get the nutrients that we need to be alive and well within our spirituality and within our Christianity. You know, he is the vine. We can get what we need from him if we're connected to him.
I love it. I love the I am that I am.
Yeah,
Even
that's what I
though
was thinking of,
it can kind of be a bit on the confusing side of things.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's
I am it.
definitive, yeah.
I'm it. And
Yeah,
there's
that's
no other one that is above me or
Yeah.
below me
Absolutely.
or I'm it. I'm stop. I'm go.
Yeah.
You know? What were you thinking of?
Yeah, well, no, that's what I was thinking too. Just that it describes him so well, and just kind of that's it. He's everything that we need. And even like in Job at the end, like this is a
my
little
gosh.
bit too like
Job at the end.
Job at the end. But the couple chapters where he just goes into, you know, can you make it snow, and can you like just everything, all the nature stuff, right? Can you make the sunrise and the sunset? And it's like Job at the end of each one is like, okay, I get it. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. And he keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But it's just the way he describes himself, it's like, you know what? That's true. I can't make any of that happen. I know nothing. And like, yeah, that's right. You planned all of this. You can hold, you know, the expanse of the universe in your hand like that. It's like, okay. Yep, you're big.
You're really
I'm
big.
tiny. Yeah, it's just like, all right.
Really big.
Maybe
You're really
you know
big.
everything then. Yeah.
And you're really serious.
Yeah.
And I think we can look at the Old Testament and see he's really a serious guy. Like, he didn't say things for us to not follow.
Yeah.
And then bringing Jesus into the picture and laying it out before him that he
Yeah.
was the chosen, the one foretold. And now it's like, this is my son. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Because he is who I am. Like, he is the exact representation of me. So
Yeah.
let's figure out who he is, you know?
Yeah.
What is some of the, I guess, the confusion that can happen from the consequences of not knowing who God is, you know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest confusions that I had in my Christianity was really having a fractured God. I had the God of the Old Testament, and then I had Jesus show up on the
That's
scene.
good.
And you know, he was the easy to know, nice guy, and I didn't really want a whole lot to do with the God of the Old Testament.
No.
But in
Yeah.
Hebrews 13, it says Jesus is the same today, yesterday, and forever. You know,
Right.
so when I finally connected Jesus as part of the Godhead, he was in those decisions with God in the Old Testament. He was a part of the journey of the Israelites. He's shown throughout all of the Old Testament to be the one that is coming to deliver us. And not being afraid to see God's mercy in his judgment and see God's mercy in his seriousness. And, how serious he is about righteousness, how serious he
Yeah.
is to putting an end to sin and to putting an end to selfishness. And then seeing that Jesus came for that purpose, to put an end to sin and to give us life, give us access to him. There is no way to the Father but through Jesus. And I think when we begin to, you know, we read Jesus' words and we follow him on that journey with the idea that, you know, this is the same God that split the Red Sea. This is the same God that spoke stars into creation, and now he's alive as a human being, Jesus. You really sense the seriousness of listening to what he says. What did he say? He only had that short period of time on the earth, and he only had those 3 years that are documented.
Right.
It's like, what did you say? Let me eat it. Let me dwell on it. Let me think about what you're saying, because this is the communication you left for us.
Right.
So I
And-
gotta eat it.
And
Yeah,
what
yeah,
does
yeah.
he say the consequences are when you're reading the words of Jesus, which are the words of God?
Absolutely.
It's like, holy
Yes.
Hannah, we are in
It's a
trouble
lot on
if
the
we
line.
don't list that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Can you think of off the top of your head some of the consequences of not following what Jesus, God laid out these things? Jesus came to confirm them and lay out a new standard. What are some of the consequences that you can think of that he's referenced?
So I get to bring the fiery
You get to bring
hell
the fiery
part?
hell,
Okay.
yeah, the broomstick.
Shouldn't have let you go first there, Nathan. Okay.
thanks, Lise.
Yeah, no problem. I'll go ahead and take this one.
You're good at it.
Oh,
You're good. You're the
okay.
perfect one.
Sure. No, but that's like ultimately, right, is death.
Yeah.
Right? It's just and then not just physical, but throughout your life, just other things, the death of your joy, and of your peace as we
Wow.
follow something different than what he says, right? Which is why he's warning us, right?
Right.
It's not some trick. It's like it's really laid out. This is the right choice.
That's good.
These are the consequences. I love you so much. Do not
Please don't
choose the
choose
wrong
this.
thing.
Yeah.
It's
Stop.
because he's serious about it. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, this is the way to life. Choose life.
Right. And just knowing that if I'm going to base my Christianity on my own theology or my own decisions or my own interpretation,
Yeah.
and I have it backwards, I could really miss it.
Yeah.
Because I know that Paul says in the New Testament is like that I might obtain salvation.
Right.
That I mean, you think of Paul, you think of his life, and you think of his seriousness.
Yeah. Like if anyone's saved.
If anyone's saved
Yeah.
until death, up
Yeah,
until
yeah,
death,
yeah.
it's him.
Right.
But if he had an understanding that I might obtain salvation, we really better figure this thing out, that I
Yeah.
can't base Christianity on my own theology or confusion. I
Yeah.
better figure out what God says, that Jesus comes in and confirms.
Right.
And then we better listen to him, because knowing God and who he is so vital. We'll
Yeah.
make our own theology.
Yeah, based on experiences too, right? Like just based on what's happened to us, and so many times, like
Yes.
when there's pain behind it, there's so much power there too, right? Because we want answers when there's pain, just from
Yeah.
life experiences, and whatever. This was the revelation that I just had, and
Yeah.
in the bathroom before. But
Do
just
tell. Do share. Share your
Nothing like
personal
some
wisdom.
second
Bathroom
trimester
revelation.
here, everybody. Okay. Anyway, just about how we, when really hard things happen, right? We really want control, and so, and even let's say through well-meaning Christians, sometimes it's like they can say things about who God is that make him responsible for the pain, and it's like we want control so bad. In that, it's like, okay, well then I'll just draw my own conclusions from this. It seems like he really hates me. At least then I'm prepared for the next bad thing that happens.
Yes.
If I can decide that and be prepared for it, then I don't have to get my hopes up that actually he loves me. And so that pull for control that we want can draw us into some really scary and false conclusions about who God is. And then from then on, if that doesn't get addressed, can really mess things up, because we interact with him as though those things are true.
I agree.
And we don't go to him, we protect ourselves because, well, he didn't protect me from this. And just all the things that we come to from our own painful experiences,
true.
right? And so
Yeah.
it really stops us from seeing who he is.
That's really good. And I think a lot of us, 3 people in this discussion panel, have gone through some really hard stuff,
Yeah.
from my personal experience with my daughter and a hard marriage, and then my daughter dying. And, I think so often we put God in such a box. If we
Yeah.
don't know, if we don't know who he is and what he says, I can quickly just say, God caused this. Why did you put me through such a horribly hard time? Why did you do this? Why didn't you protect her? Why didn't you heal her?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us ask those questions, but
Yeah.
those aren't the questions we should be asking. We should be asking,
Right.
who are you, God? Help me understand you better.
Yeah.
Where were you?
And
Were you
I
with
think
me?
that's
Yeah.
such a key thing in overcoming those
Mm-hmm.
questions, and the power that those questions can have to drive us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know that each one of us have had seasons where those questions have driven our faith, and
Mm-hmm.
our emotions have led us away from
Yeah.
really having our eyes focused on him. But when we have these big questions of why didn't you come through,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
the only answer to those questions is responding with, you. I might not think that you came through, but you're the God that never forsakes me.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
that's
the
good.
God that's always faithful. That you're the God that delivers us. You're the God that chose to die on a cross so that I might be set free,
That's right.
so that
Yeah.
I might be made well, that so that, I could be healed. So when we answer those questions with just responding, because Satan comes in to try and get
Totally.
us to doubt who our God is.
Yeah.
That he's always been trying to do that from the beginning. But when we respond to that doubt with, no, this is who my God is. And when we have a history of discovering who he is,
Yeah.
that's when we start to overcome those things.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
true. Like you have those moments of questions because we all have questions.
Yeah, of course.
We all have wonderings of why we're in a situation we're in. But
Right.
you can look and you can go back to who God says He is in that. You can
Yeah.
go back to who Jesus then confirmed that God was,
Right.
and know that we don't know the big picture.
Yeah.
I don't know the big picture all the time.
Right.
I don't know why I had to go through what we've been through. I don't know why my daughter's life had to be ended.
Yeah.
I don't know the answers to those questions exactly. I know God's good.
Right.
And that's really the only answer I need to know.
Yeah.
Because someday it'll all make sense.
Yeah.
But because I know these answers,
Yeah.
I'm not outside blaming him, allowing my Christianity to be affected by lies.
Right.
I'm allowing my Christianity to be affected by truth because I know who he is. I'm centered. Like, what
Yeah.
a plumb line is where you have it, everything centers on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know who God is, if you don't know his character,
Yeah.
if you don't know his integrity, if you don't know who Jesus was, and that we should be shooting for that, then your foundation's gonna be askew.
Yeah, and it's just based on circumstances which change all the time. And so then it's like, today he's good. Oh, never mind, he's not.
not, exactly.
Right? And it changes, whereas he says that he does not change.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just like submitting our feelings and our experiences to what he says is true. Because that does not change. And I think, like, especially in today's world, we're seeing more and more all the time how much things change. Like, how fast they change.
Oh my gosh.
And just-
March was looking good. and
March
then-
was looking good, and then it tanked.
And then-
2020 was looking up for
yeah,
us,
like
and then it,
hopeful and great, and then right. So then it's like, it's just more than ever to be able to see that God is who He says He is every day, exactly the same. It's becoming more and more valuable. As we see just how crazy the world is.
Yes.
It's like He doesn't change, and I'm so glad that He doesn't. I'm so glad that He is not.
he's not wishy-washy.
Yeah, He's not swayed by His own emotions. Like today I'm good and today I'm not. How terrifying would that be
Oh gosh.
if He
We'd
was
be in
like
trouble.
unpredictable and just like some teenage
dear.
emotional. You know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah.
it seems ridiculous to say, and yet how valuable is it
Yeah.
that He just is.
Yeah.
And He always is the same.
Constant.
Yeah.
Constant.
Yeah, exactly. What
Prac-
else is consistent? like that?
Practically speaking, what do we, someone's watching and we're like talking about this kind of a big topic.
Yeah.
Let's bring it down to like a practical, how do we get to that point where we know who God is?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
all
I
Bible.
know. Okay,
We
I
got
let
our
you go first
spiritual-
last time. Here we go. I have to follow this. Go
I
ahead.
forgot my Bible.
But you just
in my other
gotta you
pants.
gotta start with the red letters.
I know.
You
And
gotta dive
Nathan,
in.
where are the red letters? Just practically speaking, they're in what
So
part of the
you're
Bible?
gonna find them in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels. You're gonna.
Is that the New Testament or Old Testament?
New Testament.
Okay.
And so those are those 3 documented years where Jesus was here on earth, telling us how to find the Father.
Okay.
He says, no one will come to the Father but through me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to start there,
Red letters.
red letters. But then, we got to devour the whole Word.
Mm-hmm.
We got to look to the Psalms and David's songs of how big and how grand God
Yeah.
is.
When do you do that though? Because I think that's where the confusion lies. Is that okay? I'm going to read the New Testament, then I'm going to bounce back to the Old Testament, and then I'm going
Right.
to read, and then I'm like overrun with the different requirements in each one. So, when do you think would be a good time to go out of the New Testament and go into the Old?
I mean, with everyone, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But like, when the person of Jesus starts to come alive to you, when you he says, "I am the good shepherd, and my sheep will know my voice." when you recognize his voice in the Gospels, then you can begin to recognize his voice in the Old Testament. And you don't get lost in the law and the requirements of the law. And you don't get lost in the stories of battle. And you know, you don't get lost in those things because you recognize his voice and you can see it in the Old Testament.
That's good.
So when that is, you know, it differs with the individual, but the great thing about him being constant is he wants to be found.
Yeah.
He wants us to know him. So as you begin to develop that relationship with him, then you move,
Yeah.
and then you apply the whole word to your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, practically speaking, of how we might be able to just kind of get this understanding of who God is?
Yeah, because that's like, you need that foundation. It has to have that anchor. And then from there, then you want to get to know him for yourself as well, right? It's not just, oh, I know he's a protector. Well, do you know that he's specifically your protector, right? Then it changes the way that you live. And so, yeah, just developing that relationship, just like I talked about a few weeks ago, right? With getting to hear his voice, right? And start with little things, and it builds and builds. And, you know, where just like you can ask him really big questions after a while, you know, starting with really small things. But talking to him in whatever way that, you know, you get to know him best. It might be in nature, it might be when you're baking, you know? For example.
That's good. I have found that the practical nature of who God is first and foremost getting to know who Jesus is. And it sounds backwards, but it's not, because if you know Jesus, you get to know the Father.
Yeah.
If you want to know a father, you know, if I want to get to know Ollie, or I'm sorry, if I want to get to know you even, I'm going to hang out with Ollie and kind of figure out, you know, how do you father? How do you parent? And I think that's a practical way. So we have to devour ourselves into who the person of Jesus first to find out who God is and really understand it. Because when I was trying to do both, I was overwhelmed. But when I understood God's standard through the way that Jesus lived on this earth, then I could go back and be like, oh my gosh, it's like a puzzle piece that goes together to find out. So I would say stay in the New Testament until you fully understand who Jesus is and who God made Jesus as a person, because there's no, Jesus came as an entity of a human. So that's where we can really identify and then go and put the practical things together about who God is and understand he is not joking when he said the things he said and the things he did. And so it was a really great discussion, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you didn't know, Lisa and Nathan are both teachers in our School of Transformation. So our 6-month school, we have a School of Transformation Light, and we also have a School of Transformation, a 6-month version that is really wonderful. And if you're interested in that, I know there was a commercial before this, you can check out schooloftransformation.org. Is that correct?
Yep, sounds right.
Okay. And you can apply. We take people from all over the world, and it's a 6-month school. Our next semester will start in September, and we would love to have you part of our school if that's something that you find that you might be interested in. Coming up tomorrow night, we're going to continue our series with Salvation is Through Jesus, and then Ryan, your husband, is going to take us on a journey for that. So stay tuned, and we love you guys. We love this time with you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
All right.